Amen.
Amen.
We've been speaking about the difference between morality and prophecy.
Hovorili sme o rozdiele medzi morálkou a proroctvom.
And what good. And what we've seen
A to, čo sme videli,
is that prophecy is in fact historical events
je, že proroctvo sú historické udalosti.
reference Sister Aileen. The reference for prophecy is historical events. Good. 1.7. What we cannot do is go to a specific quote
Nemôžeme ísť k nejakému špecifickému citátu,
that shows prophecy is moral events or moral issues.
ktorý ukazuje, že proroctvo sú nejaké morálne
But we spoke
otázky.
about 3.
Ale hovorili sme o troch.
89, 2001, 2014, 16.
89., 2001 a
And what we
2016,
saw
myslím. To, čo sme videli,
was that rather than us being students of prophecy,
je, že skôr ako my by sme boli študenti proroctva,
observers of prophecy,
pozorovatelia proroctva,
historians,
historici,
we were actually involved in those histories.
my sme vlastne boli ako keby súčasťou tých dejín. Boli sme do nich
So we were
zahrnutí.
not the observers of prophecy, we were the participants of
Boli
prophecy.
sme pozorovatelia, neboli sme pozorovatelia, boli sme účastníci.
And what should scare us
Čo by nás malo vystrašiť,
as we review?
keď si to tak zhrnieme?
All of the time. Every waymark,
Na každom milníku
nearly everyone in this movement has been on the wrong side of the issue.
takmer každý v tomto hnutí bol na nesprávnej strane.
1989,
89.
you all thought that the Soviet Union were the bad people and the Americans were the good.
Tam by sme si mysleli, že Sovietský zväz boli tí zlí a Američania boli tí dobrí.
2001,
2001.
the way Islam was behaving was terrorist in its nature.
To, ako sa islám správal, bol teroristický v tej svojej podstate.
2014,
2014,
16.
16.
We'll go to a specific year, a specific event.
Pôjdeme do určitej udalosti.
Which year? Which event?
Do ktorej?
Same-sex marriage.
Manželstvo,
Sister Tamina, internally.
manželstvo rovnakých pohlaví.
Church, not movement.
A
On
vnútorne v
both those
cirkvi,
issues, same-sex marriage,
v obidvoch týchto
women's ordination,
otázkach, aj keď išlo o rovnaké manželstvo, aj keď išlo o
virtually every single one of
ordináciu
us in this
žien,
movement were on the wrong side of the
v podstate
issue.
každý z nás v tomto hnutí bol na nesprávnej strane
We
tej veci.
believed,
Verili sme
we were taught,
a boli sme
we
vyučení.
believed, and we taught others.
Aj sme
We
to
were taught, we believed, and we taught
boli
others
sme vyučení, my sme tomu verili a aj sme učili,
that it was wrong for a woman to lead out spiritually.
že to bolo nesprávne, aby žena duchovne viedla.
Because when you go to the Bible,
Keď ideme do Biblie,
all of those spiritual leaders, those priests are all male.
všetci títo vodcovia a kňazi boli muži.
Today,
Dnes
you can see how silly and weak those arguments are.
vidíme, aké sú tieto argumenty slabé, až
So in
hlúpe.
history, we saw that, or we believed,
V tých istých dejinách sme verili,
that same-sex marriage
že manželstvo
was a
rovnakých
direct
pohlaví
attack upon the institution of marriage that God had given to us.
bol priamy útok na inštitúciu manželstva, ktorú nám Pán Boh dal.
And this led us in 16
Toto nás v roku 2016 viedlo
to argue what point
k tomu, aby sme argumentovali ohľadne čoho.
when it came to those two candidates.
Keď prišlo na týchto dvoch kandidátov.
That both of them
Že obaja
were equally bad in their own way.
boli rovnako zlí.
And of course that cannot be correct.
To samozrejme nemôže byť správne.
We took Daniel 11 verse 2 and manipulated that.
Zobrali sme Daniela 2, zmanipulovali
And what 11:2. Daniel
Daniel
11:2.
11.2.
He shall be far richer than the rest.
Tam sa píše, že bude bohatší od nich nad všetkých.
We corrupted that passage
Túto pásaž sme nejak tak prevratili,
so that we could incorporate the possibility of Hillary Clinton winning.
aby sme mohli do toho zahrnúť aj nejakú možnosť Hillary Clintonovej ako víťazky.
All the evidence
Všetky dôkazy
pointed to Trump.
ukazovali na Trumpa.
So why are we making mistakes?
Prečo sme spravili chyby?
So that's the correct answer. So you go back to 1989,
Keď sa vrátime do 89.
Time of the End magazine,
časopis Doby konca,
and what is the mentality of God's people?
aká je mentalita Božieho ľudu?
At the end of the world,
Na konci sveta,
the consolidation of powers.
že to zjednotenie
What
moci,
Spirit Prophecy quote is that?
to je ktorý citát Ducha prorockého?
Spirit Prophecy quote.
Ktorý citát Ducha prorockého?
Testimonies to the church. Testimonies to the church.
Svedectvá pre cirkev,
Volume 9.
9,
Page
strana
11.
11.
Read. Find it. Read. Good. So the powers of evil,
Tie moci zla,
I was just going to do it in English first because they can't pick it up. The powers of evil are consolidating.
tie moci zla sa zjednocujú
And who are the
a
powers of evil that are
kombinujú.
consolidating?
To sú ktoré tie moci zla?
Bible verse, Sister Aileen.
Ktorý je to biblický verš, Eileen?
Revelation.
Zjavenie,
Revelation 16.
16,
Verse. Sister Esther. Look. $13.
13. Takže zjavenie
What does it say,
16,
Sister Esther?
13, čo sa tam píše?
Whatever you want to do. I don't mind. The beast.
Píše sa o šelme, drakovi
The
a falošnom
dragon, the beast, and
prorokovi.
the false prophet are coming together.
Drak, šelma a falošný prorok sa spoja.
This is the consolidation of the powers of
To je to
evil.
zjednotenie moci zla.
Spirit prophecy quote, Sister.
Citát
Lady?
ducha prorockého.
We just gave it, just reminding us. Nine. Bible verse. So we're in 16
911.
now.
Sme teraz
2016.
2016.
The elections are in full swing.
Prebiehajú
They're
voľby
and we're becoming more and more uncertain
a my začíname byť čím viac
of who's
neistí
gonna win.
ohľadne toho, že kto vyhrá.
What's driving that uncertainty?
Čo vlastne prináša
'Cause
túto
in
neistotu?
January-
Pretože v januári
We were quite clear.
sme to hovorili dosť jasne.
Why are we wavering?
A prečo zrazu váhame?
Not that bit. Not that bit. Because we're reading the newspapers
Čítame, čo píšu v
and
tých
what are they telling
novinách
us?
a čo nám tam hovoria.
Who's going to win?
Kto vyhrá?
Forget the globalist.
Zabudnime teraz
Who's
na
gonna
globalistov. Kto vyhrá?
Clinton's going to win.
Clintonová.
That's what the news media is
To
teaching.
nám hovoria tie spravodajstva.
So we start getting nervous.
Začali sme byť nervózni.
In fact, I'm at a camp meeting
Ja som bol na camp meetingu
and I say publicly that
a verejne som
Trump
povedal,
is going to win
že Trump vyhrá.
in the summer of 16,
V lete som to povedal.
and the people begin to panic,
A ľudia začali
the
panikáriť.
organizers,
Organizátori
because they're saying,
povedali,
what if you're wrong?
čo keď sa mýliš?
We'll look silly.
Budeme vyzerať hlupo.
So in a movement, we've become nervous
V hnutí sme boli celí nervózni,
because all the evidence
pretože všetky dôkazy
is looking like Clinton will win.
ukazovali na to, ako keby vyhrávala Clintonová.
And so, because
A preto
all the things you said,
nepočujem, čo hovorila Tamina.
because we're conservatives,
Pretože sme konzervatívni,
we have a wrong understanding of the prophetic model
máme nesprávne porozumenie celého prorockého modelu,
given to us
ktoré nám bolo
When?
dané
back here
tu,
in the Time of the End magazine,
v časopise Času konca.
that if you have Trump,
Ak máme Trumpa,
who's Trump?
kto je Trump?
Who's Trump? Whether you have the false prophet come into power
Falošným prorokom. Kedy je falošný prorok?
or Clinton,
Prichádza či
the dragon,
alebo Clintonovu, ktorá je
the result will
drakom.
be the same.
Ten výsledok je rovnaký.
And that's silly in and of itself,
Toto samé o sebe je hlúposť.
because why do we not know
Prečo nevieme
in
v
16
2016
how the Sunday law is going to be brought, how it's going to come to pass?
ako vlastne príde nedeľný zákon?
Who will drive it through?
Kto ho privedie?
Who will drive it through? The false prophet
Falošný prorok alebo
or the dragon? We
Alebo
should have
drak.
known by that stage who's doing what.
my už vtedy vieme, kto robí čo.
And for us to claim that we don't know what will be the driving
Na
power
to, aby sme tvrdili, že my nevieme, kto bude tá vedúca moc,
should be of concern to those people who now follow FFA.
to by mal byť taká obava alebo výstraha pre tých, čo teraz nasledujú FFA.
Because they seem so confident they know so much,
Oni vyzerajú byť si takí istí tým, čo vedia, že vedia
and
to
yet
mnoho.
only 4 years ago
A len pred 4 rokmi
they don't even know how the Sunday law is going to be passed or by whom.
ani nevedeli, kto mal priviesť nedeľný zákon.
You can't have it both ways.
Nedá sa to obidvoma spôsobmi.
According to them,
Podľa nich,
and yet, what does Revelation 13:11 actually say?
čo nám vlastne hovorí Zjavenie 13.11?
That the lamb becomes the dragon.
sa stane drakom.
And if the dragon is globalism
Ak drak je globalizmus
and the lamb is America
a baránok je Amerika,
or isolationism,
alebo taká izolácia,
make America great,
urobíme Ameriku veľkou,
you see you have conflicting models.
vidíme, že toto sú konfliktné modely.
So in 14,
V 2014
we're completely wrong on our prophetic model.
sme v tomto prorockom modeli v našom boli úplne mimo.
Plus,
Plus,
there are many secret admirers of Trump in the movement.
v hnutí je mnoho tajných obdivovateľov Trumpa.
They thought that his arguments had merit.
Oni mali taký pocit, že tie jeho argumenty dávali zmysel.
They were good arguments. He had a point when he made his arguments.
A že keď dával tie svoje argumenty, tak
So these people were
to dávalo
secret
zmysel.
Trump lovers.
Títo ľudia tajne Trumpa obdivovali.
And Trump, his ideology
a tá jeho ideológia
is what?
je čím?
This one here.
Toto tu.
Right-wing conservative Protestantism.
Pravičiarsky konzervatívny protestantizmus.
And so many people in the movement
Mnoho ľudí v hnutí
are all on the wrong side.
sú úplne na nesprávnej strane.
We have it here on the board.
Máme to tu na tabuli.
Conservative USA. Conservative USA.
Konzervatívne Spojené
Conservative
štáty.
USA.
Konzervatívne Spojené štáty.
That's where most people in this movement were where they were in their thinking.
Tam bola väčšina ľudí vo svojom myslení v tomto hnutí.
And then you get to 2018-19.
Potom prídeme k 2018-19.
So we have 30 years
Máme 30
of
rokov
failure.
zlyhávania.
We'll stop there.
Zastavíme.
We have 30 years of success.
30 rokov
Were
úspechu.
we successful?
Boli sme úspešní?
I've just stated it as a fact. So you're saying it was not factual what I've said? I'm lying? No, I said we have, I didn't say have we have 30 years of success.
Máme 30 rokov úspechu.
Yes, so I said stop. So I wanted to stop that thought and give a new thought.
Chcem dať novú myšlienku.
Repeat and enlarge.
Opakovanie a rozšírenie.
We have 30 years of success.
30 rokov úspechu.
So I'm not asking you, I'm telling you we do.
To vám len oznamujem, to nie je otázka.
So you finish the sentence.
Skúste mi dokončiť tú vetu.
We have 30 years of success
30 rokov úspechu.
as
Ako čo?
As what role?
Ako ktorá rola?
What is our
Čo bola
role?
naša rola?
As observers.
Ako pozorovateľov.
Observers of special history.
Pozorovatelia zvláštnych dejín.
Observers of prophecy.
Pozorovatelia proroctva.
We saw the fulfillment in order.
Videli sme, ako sa v poradí naplňajú proroctva.
At least we saw them 1, 2, 3.
Teda videli sme ich aspoň ako prvé,
At least
druhé,
the order
tretie.
was 1, 2, 3. Even though we couldn't run a thread through them.
Aj keď sme nevedeli,
Even though we couldn't run a
ako
thread.
keby tú niť potiahnuť,
theme.
ten príbeh.
So,
Takže
we could not run a consistent theme. So we were successful
boli sme úspešní
as observers
ako pozorovatelia.
because we got them all correct.
Mali sme to všetko správne.
So we should pat ourselves on the back. We did a good job.
Mohli sme sa potlapkať po pleci. Dobrá robota. Dobre sme to spravili.
But as a sudden and ugly surprise,
Ale zrazu také nepekné prekvapenie.
we find ourselves
Sme zistili,
not observers,
že my nie sme pozorovatelia,
But being observed.
ale že nás pozorujú.
not as the ones that are testing people,
Nie ako tí, ktorí
but as those who are being tested.
skúšajú ľudí, ale ktorí sami sú skúšaní.
And then we see utter failure.
A vtedy sme uvideli absolútne zlyhanie.
So we were completely successful in one role
V jednej roli sme boli úplne úspešní
and complete and utter failures in another role.
a absolútne neúspešní v druhej roli.
Sister Esther,
Ester,
we were completely successful as
boli sme úspešní ako čo?
observers and complete failures
Pozorovatelia.
as
Úspešní ako pozorovatelia, ale zlyhali sme ako
good. We'll call it participants.
nazveme to ako
When we
účastníci.
participate in the history,
Keď sa účastníme tých
we
dejín,
failed.
tom sme zlyhali.
What have we been doing for 30 years, Sister Tamina?
Čo sme 30 rokov robili, Tamina?
The failure bit.
Vždy sme boli na tej nesprávnej strane.
If we were gambling, if we were gamblers,
Ako by sme
we kept on
boli
picking the
takí
wrong
hráči
horse.
a keby sme robili stavky, tak vždy
Kept on
vždy
coming on
sme
the wrong
stavili
side.
na zlého koňa. Vždy sme si vybrali zlú stranu.
I'm stating that as fact.
To hovorím ako fakt.
Sister Tamina, why did you not know
Prečo si to nevedela,
that for all these years
že všetky tieto roky
you were failing?
zlyhávaš?
How comes you don't know?
Jak to, že si to nevedela? Proste som nemala tú informáciu.
What information did you need to know?
Čo si potrebovala
That you didn't
vedieť, čo si nevedela, ale nemala si tú informáciu?
Did you not know about the moral
Ty
majority?
si nevedela o morálnej väčšine?
You don't remember Elder Jeff speaking eloquently about them.
Nepamätáš si? Dosť výrečne brat Jeff o nich rozprával.
We'll go with that then. You knew about that. Yeah?
Vždycky sa tam tiahla tá téma
So,
nedeľného zákona.
The whole story
Celý ten príbeh
about good and bad people
o dobrých a zlých
is all
ľuďoch
focused on what issue?
je zameraný na akú tému?
Sabbath.
Na sobotu.
And what kind of Sabbath keeper are you?
Aký si ty
Good.
dodržiavateľ soboty?
Good.
Dobrý.
So therefore,
Takže,
you're what kind of a person?
aký si človek?
Good one, a good righteous person. So you can never
Spravodlivý.
conceptualize that you are bad.
Ty si sa nemohla na to pozrieť spôsobom, že ty si zlá.
Brother Wolfgang,
Wolfgang,
are you familiar with the moral majority as it was taught in the movement over the years?
ty vieš, čo sa hovorilo o morálnej väčšine v priebehu rokov v hnutí?
No? Okay, so I won't go down that road then. If not enough people here have a consciousness about that. The term moral majority was used,
Tento pojem morálna väčšina sa používal,
but perhaps you're, I think, as Tamina has said, you're more comfortable with apostate Protestantism.
ale boli ste takí spokojní s tým odpadlým protestantizmom.
So why did you not identify yourself with these apostates?
Prečo ste samých seba neidentifikovali s týmito odpadlíkmi?
We kept Sabbath.
Dodržiavali sme sobotu. Rozumeli sme
Don't believe in
Danielovi.
the secret rapture, dispensationalism,
Neverili sme v tajné vychvátenie,
state
stav
of the dead.
mŕtvych.
Didn't reject the charts.
Neodmietli sme tie
So
tabulky.
where would you place Adventism?
Kam by si dala adventizmus?
Good or bad?
Na zlú alebo dobrú stranu?
So,
Zlú.
okay, on the way to being really, really bad.
Na ceste naozaj k zlému.
So how are you separating yourself from Adventism?
Ako
Because you've
si-
separated yourself from apostate Protestantism.
Ako si sa oddelila od adventizmu? Oddelila si sa od odpadlého protestantizmu? Ako si sa oddelila od adventizmu?
What's Adventism doing wrong?
Čo adventizmus robí nesprávne?
2520.
2520.
Rejecting prophecy.
Odmietajúc proroctvo.
They've rejected the pioneers.
Teda
So
adventisti
they've rejected
odmietli
the reforms,
proroctvo,
the
odmietli
pioneers,
pionierov,
the
odmietli
charts.
karty, odmietli
Ellen White.
reformy,
We've
odmietli Ellen
rejected all of our
Whiteovu.
past.
Vlastne celú našu minulosť.
So if you reject your past,
Ak odmietneš minulosť,
what are you unable to do now?
čo si neschopný urobiť?
Understand?
Porozumieť?
The present.
Prítomnosti.
So if you reject the past,
Ak odmietnete minulosť,
you're unable to explain the present.
nie ste schopní vysvetliť
And then,
prítomnosť.
Sister
A
Esther,
potom, Ester,
you will make mistakes about.
urobíte chyby.
So that's what we read in this passage 17 MR.
To sme čítali v tejto pásaži
Future,
17
you will
MR.
misunderstand the future. Isaiah 46 verse 10.
Izaiáš
You
46:10.
get the past wrong,
Keď minulosť nesprávne
you misread the
pochopíme,
present,
tak prítomnosť tiež
and therefore
nesprávne
you won't
čítame
understand the future.
a neporozumieme minulosť,
This is what we
budúcnosti.
accused Adventism
Z
of.
tohto sme obviňovali adventizmus.
We understand the present.
Rozumieme prítomnosti. Prečo?
What methodology is that, Sister Aileen?
To je
present
aká
and the past.
metodológia? Minulosť, budúcnosť.
Or Isaiah 28.
To je Izaiáš 28.
She told you. Line upon line.
Línia na
Verse.
líniu.
Check. Isaiah 28.
Izaiáš 28.
And back. Is this verse 12? You sure? 10. Verses 10 and 13. So we encapsulated this concept with the term line upon line.
My sme to dali do konceptu ako línia na líniu.
So what Bible verse is it, Tamina?
To je ktorý biblický verš?
Not this one.
To je Izaiáš 28.
Good. And what's the principle?
Aký je tu princíp?
What's the principle? Yes, that we've just discussed.
To,
Not so
o
much in
čom
the
sme
verse
teraz
itself.
hovorili.
Just recap what we've already said.
to
The
zhrnieme.
issue that we don't like Adventists.
Ten dôvod, že prečo nemáme radi adventistov.
Adventism. What have they done?
Čo urobili?
Sorry? They don't understand the past. They rejected the past. We rejected it. You can't understand the present. And therefore,
Nerozumieš
you make mistakes
prítomnosti
about the
a teda
future.
robíš chyby ohľadne budúcnosti.
Because Adventists know about the future.
Adventisti poznajú budúcnosť.
It's found in the great controversy. It tells you what the future
Veľký
is.
spor o tom hovorí, čo je v budúcnosti.
But they make mistakes.
Ale robia chyby
They make mistakes about the future.
ohľadne budúcnosti.
Why?
Prečo?
Because they don't understand the present.
Pretože nerozumejú prítomnosti.
And they don't understand the present.
Nerozumejú prítomnosti.
They forgot.
Pretože zabudli.
You said. They reject it.
Odmietli
The past.
minulosť.
I think rejection is the proper issue or the proper criminality that they've done. They haven't forgotten the past.
Odmietnutie si myslím, že to je ten zločin, ktorý bol spravený. Oni nezabudli, to je odmietnutie.
documented.
To je dobre zdokumentované.
And we have competent historians in the church.
Cirkvi sú kompetentní historici.
So it's not because they forgot.
Toto není, že by zabudli.
They just don't accept.
Proste to neprimajú.
So if you've been in the movement any length of time,
Ak ste už nejaký čas v hnutí,
you'll know that bodies such as the BRI, Biblical Research Institute,
budete vedieť, že také inštitúcie ako Biblický výskumný inštitút,
we'll just call them theologians,
teológovia,
they reject
odmietajú
this version of history.
tieto dejiny, túto verziu dejín,
The trumpets,
tie trúbenia,
Revelation, chapter
zjavenie
8
8
and 9.
a 9.
So they reject that.
To odmietajú.
They say it's inaccurate.
Hovoria, že to nie je presné.
And so it's not that they don't know what was taught.
Takže to nie, že by nevedeli, čo sa učilo,
They just don't believe it.
proste tomu neveria.
So if you reject the past,
Takže keď odmietnete minulosť,
Islam,
islám,
what's going to happen in the
čo
present?
sa stane v prítomnosti?
They don't understand.
Nerozumejú.
They just think
Oni si myslia,
this is an issue about oil.
že tu ide len o ropu.
Because we know oil is one of the drivers of all current affairs.
Vieme, že to je jeden z takých katalizátorov pre tieto udalosti, ktoré sa dejú teraz.
But what they don't understand
Ale čomu nerozumejú,
is what's under the surface
je tomu, že čo je pod povrchom.
about 9/11 as an example.
Napríklad, keď príde na 9.11.
Why does Islam hate the West?
Prečo islám tak nenávidí Západ?
What is going on prophetically?
Čo sa tu prorocky deje?
Therefore,
Teda
you can't understand the future.
nemôžeme rozumieť budúcnosti.
The future
Budúcnosť
is about the role of the United States, Russia, papacy, Islam.
je o role Spojených štátov, Rusku, pápežstve a islame.
We've seen clear examples of that since the separation in our movement.
Videli sme jasné prípady toho pri rozdelení v našom hnutí.
I can't remember what I said, I'm sorry. We'll use the date 1798,
Použijeme dátum 1798
a little bit before.
a predtým
We're in Revelation 11.
sme v Zjavení 11.
What power are we dealing with?
To je aká moc, s ktorou sa tu zaoberáme.
France.
Francúzska revolúcia.
France is-
Francúzsko.
Before we do all of that, France is which verse have we spoken about?
Francúzsko je, o ktorom verši sme hovorili?
Verse 13.
13. verš.
What did we pick up? 10th.
10. Začneme v
In this
10.
picture work, what is the city?
Toto tu je aký obraz?
The 10 horns,
Čo je to mesto? Tých
they're the
10,
city.
10 rohov je to mesto.
Because 1/10 of them
1/10
over here
tu
is France.
je Francúzsko.
So then what did you say?
Potom čo?
Revelation 11 is a story about?
Zjavenie 11 je príbeh o čom?
Do you remember? King of the
O
South.
kráľovi juhu.
So if France is the king of the South,
Ak Francúzsko je kráľ juhu,
the king of the South has been dead
ten bol mŕtvý.
since what year?
Odkedy?
Year.
Ktorý to bol rok?
31 BC.
31 pred Kristom.
So the king of the South has been dead for a long time.
Takže kráľ juhu už je dosť dlho mŕtvý.
So if France has suddenly become the king of the South,
Ak Francúzsko sa zrazu stalo kráľom juhu,
we just mark 1798. It's before that, of course.
to značíme 1798, samozrejme to už je
What date you
predtým,
want to pick up? Maybe 1789.
možno 1789.
What was it before that?
Čo to bolo predtým?
Yes. Just before it became the king of the South. What
Predtým,
was it
ako sa
then?
stal kráľom juhu, bol čím? Bol kráľom severa.
So it was one of the 10.
Bol jeden z tých 10.
It's still one of the 10 now, though.
Stále ešte je.
So if it's the king of the South now, what was it before? Because it's always been one of the
Ak
10.
teraz je kráľom juhu, čím bol predtým?
So if it was the king of the North before,
Ak to predtým bol kráľ severu,
therefore you're going to use the argument
budeme používať argument,
that the king of the North
že kráľ
is this
severu
church-state relationship.
je vzťah cirkvi a štátu.
That you can look at it from the perspective of being the papacy,
Môžeme sa pozrieť na to z perspektívy, že je to pápežstvo.
you can equally look upon it as being the state.
Ale môžeme sa na to pozrieť aj z perspektívy, že je
So
to
the king of the
štát.
North is the state.
Že kráľ severu je štát.
And now we're at a place in our, I'll say in the movement,
Teraz sme v hnutí v takom bode,
where, or in the history of, in the line of the priest, we'll call it that, in the line of the
alebo v
priest,
tej línii kňazov,
the
nazveme to
Future for
tak.
America now teach what?
FFA teraz učí čo? Že Amerika nie je kráľom severu.
And that it never
A
was.
že nikdy ani nebola.
And that we taught error on that issue.
Že ohľadne tohto sme to učili nesprávne.
And it's based upon what?
Na základe čoho?
A superficial reading of Daniel 11 verse 40.
Na základe povrchného čítania Daniela 11:40.
And it's all caused by what issue?
A je to spôsobené čím?
This one.
Týmto tu.
The consolidation of powers.
To je to zjednotenie moci.
In 14, 15, 16,
14, 15, 16
we have no ability to understand who's going to win.
nemáme žiadnu možnosť alebo schopnosť porozumieť, že kto vlastne vyhráva.
So remind us, Sister Tamina,
Tamina, pripomeň nám,
why you didn't know about this until very recently.
prečo si o tomto až donedávna nevedela?
Well, not just what you said, but what did we say collectively? Why have you got it so wrong all this time? So if... Go ahead. So we forgot about the Sabbath. So we focus upon the Sabbath Sunday issue.
Zameriavali sme sa na tú tému o sobote a nedeli.
Therefore we're righteous.
My sme boli tí spravodliví.
And what we accuse Adventism of.
A z čoho sme obviňovali adventizmus?
We are... we commit the same crime. We're complicit in the same way that
My sme
they are.
vlastne vinní v tej istej veci. My sme páchali ten istý zločin.
Explain that. First,
Vysvetlím to.
tell us, what did we accuse them of?
Z čoho sme ich obviňovali?
So we said they rejected the
My
past,
sme povedali, že oni odmietli
therefore they
minulosť,
can't understand the present.
takže nemôžu rozumieť prítomnosti.
Okay. So
Takže
we said to Adventists,
adventistom sme povedali,
you hate this chart,
nenávidíte túto
you
kartu,
reject it,
odmietli ste ju,
that's why you don't understand what's happening,
preto nerozumiete tomu, čo sa deje.
and you got the future wrong.
A tú budúcnosť ste nepochopili.
And the only thing they got wrong about the future
Jediné, čo vlastne majú nesprávne ohľadne budúcnosti,
is that we know when the Sabbath Sunday issue is going to come.
je to, že
The reason, the mistake that they're making
tú chybu, ktorú oni robia,
is not the issue,
nie je téma,
it's the timing of the
ale
issue.
skôr časovanie tej témy.
They don't know when the Sunday law's
Že
happening
oni nevedia, kedy prichádza nedelný zákon,
because they don't understand what's happening
lebo nerozumejú tým
because they
udalostiam,
rejected the chart.
lebo odmietli tie tabulky.
But now,
Ale teraz
Sister Sarah said, we're making the same
Sara
mistakes
hovorí, my robíme tie isté chyby
as the church
ako cirkev.
because we too don't understand what's currently going on.
My tiež nerozumieme tomu, čo sa deje.
Therefore, we're going to make mistakes of the future.
Takže my spravíme chyby v budúcnosti.
So why don't we understand what's happening today?
Prečo nerozumieme tomu, čo sa deje dnes?
Because we rejected the past.
My sme tiež odmietli minulosť. Ale ktorú minulosť sme odmietli? My sme vždy
So you
vraveli,
can
že sme
say
to prijali.
that you accept something,
Môžeš povedať, že niečo príjmaš,
but the evidence shows that you reject.
ale dôkazy ukazujú, že to odmietaš.
Sister Sarah,
Sara,
it's your argument. You accepted the chart.
ty si prijala kartu.
You,
Ty,
the priests,
kňaz,
you accept the one that's over there.
ty príjmaš to, čo je tu.
What have you not? What have you rejected?
Čo si
You
odmietla?
accepted everything.
Čo
What have you rejected?
si odmietla?
This is what is hard to put your finger on. This is what's not tangible. What have you rejected?
Toto je niečo ťažké pomenovať. Čo si vlastne odmietla? Na to sa dá ťažko ukázať len tak prstom.
I don't know how to say this. Factually or historically, you agree with everything.
Fakticky alebo historicky
Fact.
so všetkým súhlasíš.
You agree with all the dates.
So všetkými dátumami.
That's history, though. You agree who was right and who was wrong.
Súhlasíš s tým, kto mal pravdu, kto
So you
nemal
agree
pravdu.
with everything.
Súhlasíš so všetkým.
So what have you rejected?
Čo si odmietla?
If you're correct.
Ak máš
And you have
pravdu.
to be correct.
Musíš mať pravdu.
Because we've just set a cause and effect relationship
Práve sme povedali o tom vzťahu príčiny a následku.
based upon 17 MR
Na základe 17 MR,
and Isaiah 46.
Izaiáš 46.
So you have to be correct. You've got testimonies to prove it.
Musí to tak byť. Máme na to svedectvo.
So the question we want to ask ourselves
Otázka, ktorú sa chceme spýtať,
is,
je,
what have we rejected?
že čo my sme odmietli.
And this is much more subtle.
Toto je niečo oveľa také menej viditeľné.
Subtlety? Sure, and I want to give another one. When you do subtle, it's even harder. I could have said something. I was going to say subtle with an accent. Much more subtle and esoteric.
To je také ezoterické.
Oh, you got that one. Okay. I thought that was going to be the hard one. It's hard to put your finger on. What are we rejecting?
Je ťažké to ako keby skonkrétniť, že čo sme vlastne odmietli.
You want to have a go? I know that's correct,
Viem, že je to správne,
but what I want to suggest
ale čo by som chcel
is
navrhnúť,
that what we're actually rejecting, the mistake that we're making,
je, že to, čo odmietame, alebo tú chybu, ktorú sme spravili,
is when you go to their history
je, že keď idete do ich dejín,
at the beginning of Adventism, this
na
history,
začiatku adventizmu,
and you see the methodology that they're using,
a vidíte metodológiu, ktorú používajú,
what methodology is it?
to je ktorá metodológia?
One word.
Jedným slovom.
They're not using conspiracies.
Nie konšpiračné teórie.
Proof text,
Dôkaz textom.
but not numerology, proof texting. It's not anything negative, it's positive.
To nie je niečo negatívne, to je pozitívne.
Proof text
Dôkaz
is you take
textom
one story
je, že vezmeš jeden príbeh,
to explain another story.
aby si vysvetlil druhý príbeh.
One story,
Jeden príbeh,
this one,
tento tu,
to explain another
ti
story.
vysvetľuje ďalší príbeh.
What do we call that?
Čo to nazývame? Ako?
Parables.
To sú podobenstva.
So they had to use parables
Oni museli používať
to
podobenstva,
explain their history.
aby vysvetlili tie svoje dejiny.
And what have we done?
A my sme čo urobili?
When we look at that
My
history,
sa pozeráme na tie dejiny,
Sister Sarah, we reject.
my odmietame.
What are we rejecting?
Čo? Čo sme odmietli?
We're rejecting their methodology,
Ich metodológiu.
which is parable teaching.
To je vyučovanie v podobenstvách.
How?
Ako?
We take their history,
Berieme ich dejiny,
which was their history was literal,
ich dejiny boli doslovné
and we take their literal history
my ich berieme, tie doslovné
and we bring
dejiny,
it today
a prinášame to dnes
and make it,
a robíme z nich,
and we make it literal again.
robíme z nich znova doslovné dejiny.
So you're perfectly right. We commit the same crime of Adventism
My sme spravili presne ten istý zločin ako adventizmus.
But Adventists
Ale
are
adventisti
babies.
sú bábätka.
So as kindergarten people,
To je ako škôlkári.
their mistakes are easy for us to see because we're adults.
Tieto chyby ľahko uvidíme ako dospelí.
You can put your finger on it.
Môžeme na to poukázať.
They burn the charts. Easy.
Oni úplne tie tabulky ako keby zavrhli. To
But
je jednoduché.
We wouldn't do
To
that.
by sme my neurobili.
We put them on boards and frame them and
My si ich dáme na stenu.
worship them.
Uctievame ich, zarámujeme si to.
But we too have committed the same
Ale my
crime.
sme ten istý zločin spáchali.
And self-analysis is really difficult,
A urobiť si sebaanalýzu je fakt ťažké.
especially
Zvlášť,
when you are educated and sophisticated.
keď ste takí rozumní a vzdelaní.
So what we reject
To, čo my
is
odmietame,
not their conclusions.
nie sú ich závery
Revelation,
o zjavení,
Islam,
isláme,
1844, the sanctuary
1844,
message.
o svätyni.
We accept all of their conclusions.
Toto všetko príjmame.
What do we reject?
Čo odmietame?
Their methodology.
Tú metodológiu.
And if you reject the methodology,
Ak odmietnete tú metodológiu,
then what happens?
čo sa stane?
You don't understand the present.
Neporozumiete prítomnosti.
And so what are FFA desperately waiting to see?
FFA zúfalo čakajú, že uvidia čo?
Sorry? Nashville will get bombed. We'll go with that one. Nashville, the bombing of
Že
Nashville.
na Nashville padne bomba. To som nemyslel, ale dobre, aj to môže
But
byť.
as Sister Tamina said,
Tamina povedala,
why are you righteous?
prečo si spravodlivá? Dodržiavam sobotu.
The mistake that they're making
Tá chyba, ktorú oni robia,
is they're waiting for the Sabbath issue to
je, že
come.
oni očakávajú, že táto otázka soboty príde
And it's never going to
a
come.
nepríde.
That Sabbath Sunday law is never going to come.
Tento zákon soboty a nedele nepríde.
And so,
Takže,
because you don't understand the present,
pretože nerozumieš prítomnosti,
you're going to make mistakes about the future.
urobíš chyby ohľadne
Which
budúcnosti.
is good.
A to je čo?
The issue around
Bomba na
Nashville
Nashville. Táto téma ohľadne Nashville,
becomes an incorrect prediction
to je nesprávna predpoveď,
because you don't even understand what's happening today
lebo ani nerozumiete tomu, čo sa dnes deje.
because you rejected the methodology of the past.
Pretože ste odmietli tú metodológiu minulosti.
What woke you up, Sister Tamina?
Tamina, čo ťa prebudilo?
Sister Aileen, what woke you up to all of this?
Eileen, teba čo prebudilo voči tomuto všetkému?
You've been a priest for a long while,
Už si nejaký čas medzi kňazmi.
so you're fully engaged.
Vieš, o čo tu ide?
What woke you up to being wrong 1, 2, 3?
Na základe čoho si pochopila, že sa v tomto všetko mýliš?
Good. Here it is. 2018-19.
2018-19.
Now we're confronted with the issue of equality.
Teraz sme konfrontovaní s rovnosťou.
And once you wake up to this,
Keď sa prebudíš ohľadne tejto témy,
of what the real issues are,
o tom, čo sú naozaj skutočné problémy, alebo
I said are plural, is
čo je skutočný
singular.
problém,
Equality,
rovnosť,
nationalism, sexism,
nacionalizmus,
homophobia.
sexizmus, homofóbia.
That you go back into this history
vrátiš sa do týchto dejín
and you see that these are the very issues that are confronting society at every single
a
waymark.
vidíš, že presne toto sú problémy, ktoré konfrontujú spoločnosť na každom jednom milníku.
Yes. It's the loud cry,
Hlasné volanie,
the midnight cry,
polnočné volanie,
that's woken us up
to je to, čo nás prebudilo,
to help us to understand
aby sme
what the real issue
aby
is.
sme porozumeli tomu, čo je skutočný problém.
We,
My,
without speaking to a particular individual,
teraz keď hovorím o určitom človeku,
we in the movement,
my v hnutí
we were just as criminal
sme boli rovnako kriminálni, alebo páchali sme rovnaký
as
zločin,
Future for America were.
ako aj FFA.
What had they
Čo
done?
oni spravili?
What's their criminality?
Čo bol ten ich zločin?
Isaiah?
Izaiáš
Didn't forget anything. They had rejected the past. That's why they're criminal.
odmietli minulosť, to je ten zločin.
And so were we.
A takisto sme spravili aj my.
Many of us held the same views,
Mnohí z nás mali tie isté názory,
but we came to our senses in the 1819 history,
ale sme prišli k rozumu v dejinách 2018-19.
and it was through the knowledge of
A
equality
bolo to skrze poznanie o rovnosti,
that we could then go back and see
že sme sa mohli vrátiť a vidieť,
that parable teaching,
že vyučovanie v podobenstvách,
going from the literal to the spiritual,
čo ide od doslovného k duchovnému,
helped to explain what?
pomohlo vysvetliť čo?
Good. Helped us to explain or to understand the present.
Pomohlo nám to vysvetliť prítomnosť.
And without parable teaching, you can't understand the present.
Bez vyučovania v podobenstvách nemôžete porozumieť prítomnosti.
And what's so deceptive
A čo je také zvodné,
is that you can have Islam,
je, že môžete mať islám,
you can have Russia,
Rusko,
you can have the papacy,
pápežstvo
and still come to extremely wrong positions,
a stále prídete k veľmi nesprávnym názorom alebo záverom.
even knowing all of those things.
Vediac, poznajúc všetky tieto
Because
veci.
without parable teaching, you can't go from literal to spiritual.
Bez vyučovania v podobenstvách neviete prechádzať od doslovného k duchovnému.
If you don't understand the present,
Ak nerozumiete prítomnosti,
you will not understand, or you'll make mistakes on the future.
spravíte chyby v budúcnosti, ohľadne budúcnosti.
So it's this issue here
Je to táto téma tu,
where now the movement realizes what?
kde hnutie si uvedomuje čo? Že nie sme iba pozorovatelia, ale hráči tých
It
dejín.
takes the
Zohrávame v
issue
nich
of
rolu.
equality
Bolo potrebná téma o
to
rovnosti,
awaken us to the reality
aby sme sa prebudili k realite,
that now we are being observed.
že teraz my sme tí, ktorých sledujú.
And if you're being observed today,
A ak vás sledujú dnes,
then
potom
you are being observed in the past.
už ste boli sledovaní aj v minulosti.
And what waymark number is this?
To je ktorý milník?
List them out. The event, the waymark name, not the date. Time at the end,
Čas konca?
2001. What do you want to call that? You get different names. You can power the message. What else would we call it? Sowing of the seed, form of rain. Sunday law, 2014, latter rain,
neskorý dážď,
immature fruit,
nezrelé ovocie,
close of probation.
záver milosti.
Here it is. Number 4, and the last one. Sister Aileen? Good. Second coming. So we're 4/5 of the way through our history.
Sme
And
v
now we're
našich
suddenly
dejinách a teraz
realizing,
si uvedomujeme,
when you look back,
keď sa pozrieme späť,
it's what? Complete, utter
my sme
failure.
totálne zlyhali.
And this is why,
A toto je dôvod,
broadly speaking,
tak keď to zovšeobecním,
we all feel what?
cítime sa ako čo?
How do we feel? Discouraged,
Cítime sa znechutení,
disappointed, guilty.
sklamaní,
You say guilty?
vinní,
Depressed.
depresí.
Suicidal.
Niektorí majú samovražedné sklony.
What did Elijah say?
Čo povedal Eliáš?
Better I was never born.
Nemal som sa nikdy narodiť.
What did Job
Čo
say?
povedal Job?
So we're all feeling bad,
Všetci sa cítime zle,
because when you look back,
keď sa obzrieme späť,
everything that we've touched
všet-
is been a wreck. It's been
všetko, čo
destroyed.
sme sa dotkli, bol proste zle.
If you're into fairy tales, you call it the Midas touch. You know the story? No, you're all good, educated people. Forget that. Well, scratch that off the video. 'Cause that's good. No, no. So we go back and we see everything's been a failure. That's part of why we're in this mess today.
Vrátime sa a všetko je len zlyhaním. Preto sme v tomto chaose dnes.
And the person who's come to help us,
Ten, ktorý nám prišiel pomôcť, človek, tá
what did he
bytosť,
do with that
čo sme
person?
spravili s tým
We
človekom?
actually fight against the person
Bojujeme proti nej,
who's
proti
there to
nemu.
help us.
Ona tu je na to, aby nám pomohla.
That should be a sobering thought for us to
Toto je
consider.
veľmi vážna myšlienka, ktorú by sme mali zvážiť.
The person who is here to save us, to help us,
Ten, kto tu je na to, aby nám pomohol a
we
zachránil
see
nás,
that person as our enemy.
my ho vidíme ako nepriateľa toho človeka.
So let's summarize.
Takže to zhrniem.
Oh, who's the person?
Kto to je?
we won't we won't repeat that. The messenger of the covenant, Christ,
To je Kristus, to je
the one who comes to save and help Jacob.
posol zmluvy. Kto prichádza pomôcť Jakobovi,
You fight with the person.
on s ním bojuje.
Remember, that's not the only
To
story.
nie je jediný príbeh.
You have to add story upon
Musíme
story.
dať príbeh s príbehom dohromady.
There's
Je tu
Elijah.
Eliáš.
Who's he dealing with?
Kým on sa musí vysporiadať?
I'm going to say this angel that comes down and helps and communicates and supports him.
Ja poviem, že je to anjel, ktorý zišiel a tam s ním diskutuje.
Job is a really dark story, isn't it?
Job tiež prechádza temným príbehom.
Job starts getting really prideful and saying, I'm totally righteous, actually.
Job začne hovoriť, ja som spravodlivý.
And God has to show him
Boh mu musí ukázať,
that he's only a mere human.
že je iba obyčajný človek.
But we'll stick with Jacob.
Ale zostaneme s Jakobom.
This angel
Tento anjel
comes down to help him,
mu prichádza pomôcť.
and he's so blind,
A on je taký zaslepený
he's so desperate
a zúfalý,
that he sees this angel or this person as his enemy.
on vidí tohto anjela ako svojho
his
nepriateľa.
So,
Takže
what we've seen
to, čo sme videli,
is that the issues of the 1860s,
je, že tie
slavery,
problémy 1860 rokov,
the issues
otroctvo,
of the 1890s,
tie problémy 1890 rokov,
purpose of government
zámer vlády
to protect our rights.
ochraňovať naše práva.
Both of these issues are
Obe
what we're
tieto
facing today.
témy sú to, s čím sa vysporiadávame teraz.
That we've made the same mistake as Adventism.
Urobili sme tie isté chyby ako adventizmus.
We have rejected the past.
Odmietli sme minulosť.
They rejected the past in a childish way.
Oni odmietli minulosť takým detinským
We
spôsobom.
rejected the past in a very subtle
My
way.
sme odmietli minulosť takým neviditeľným, takým spôsobom, ktorý bol
Subtle.
pod povrchom.
Subtle was like subtle, but with a German. Yeah. It sounded like subtle. Yeah. And that puts us in the greatest danger.
A to je oveľa väčšie nebezpečenstvo.
And now,
A teraz,
as we review the past,
keď sa pozeráme späť na minulosť,
what do we see?
čo vidíme?
We saw
Videli sme,
that we had sin that we were cherishing.
že sme mali hriechy, z ktorých sme sa držali, ktoré sa nám páčili.
Even though we claimed that we had totally rejected sin.
Aj keď sme tvrdili, že sme sa hriechu vzdali.
And so these cherished sins that we held on to,
A tieto milované hriechy, ktorých sme sa držali,
we now come to a time
prichádzame teraz do času,
where we need to completely let go of those sins.
kedy sa potrebujeme ich absolútne vzdať.
And it's not so easy to
A to
do.
nie je také jednoduché to spraviť.
We'll close with a Spirit Prophecy quote.
Uzavrieme s citátom sestry Whiteovej.
Education,
Výchova,
that's ED.
výchova,
Coding is ED, page 52.
52.
Do you have this? The book will be in German. I'm pretty sure this one is in German. So just bear with us a moment because we want to get this on Brother Wolfgang's mic. It's Education, page 52 in the English. 1. What's the coding in German? Oh, but the book Education isn't translated? It's not Christian education. I think that's different. Yeah. What's the reference so that people can look it up?
Je to kapitola Životy významných ľudí, 7. kapitola a bude to okolo strany 44-45 na slovenskej.
52.1. It's reading what? Oh, in the app it's page 50. In his childhood? In his childhood? Is that how it begins? Good. Are we all there? You got it, Sister Sarah? $50, 46 you mean, or 52? Okay. In his childhood, Joseph had been taught the love and fear of God.
V detstve bol Jozef vyučovaný Božej láske a bázni.
Often in his father's tent under the Syrian stars, he had been told the story of the night visit at Bethel.
V stane pod sýrskymi hviezdami mu otec často rozprával príbeh o nočnom videní pri Bételi,
Of the ladder from heaven to earth.
o rebríku spájajúcom nebo so zemou, o zostupujúcich a vystupujúcich
And
anjeloch
the descending and ascending angels. And of him who from the throne above revealed himself to Jacob.
a o tom, ktorý sa vtedy zo svojho nebeského trónu zjavil
Let's paraphrase.
Jákobovi. Jákob
Taught Joseph
vyučoval Jozefa
about what happened to him at
o tom,
Bethel.
čo sa mu stalo v Beteli.
The dream about the ladder.
Ten sen o tom rebríku.
Moving on.
Pôjdeme ďalej.
It's about 20 years
Asi o
later.
20 rokov neskôr
He had been told the story of the conflict beside the Jabbok.
otec mu rozprával aj o svojom zápase pri
When
potoku
renouncing
Jabok,
cherished sins, Jacob stood conqueror.
kde sa pri zrieknutí pestovaných hriechov postavil ako premožiteľ a dostal titul Božieho kniežaťa.
And received the title of a prince with God.
Dostal titul Božieho kniežaťa.
Sister Aileen,
Elín,
what is the phrase prince with God? What word is
čo
that?
toto je za
Prince with
slovo,
God.
toto knieža Božie?
He receives a new title and it's called Prince with God.
Dostal nové meno, nový
What's that
titul.
title? You know it by another name. Priest.
To je kňaz.
Sister Esther, do you know? Sister Sarah?
Sara, vieš?
What's his new name?
Aké je jeho nové meno?
Israel.
Izrael.
So Israel,
Izrael
he received the title of Prince with God.
dostal meno knieža Božie.
That's Israel.
To je Izrael.
So what he does now
To, čo robí teraz,
is he renounced cherished
je, že on
sins.
sa vzdal pestovaných a milovaných hriechov.
I thought he'd relinquished cherished sins at Bethel,
Ja som si myslel, že sa toho vzdal už v Beteli.
isn't it?
Nebolo to tak?
When renouncing cherished sins, Jacob stood conqueror. That's at Jabbok.
To bolo pri Jaboku, keď sa vzdal tých hriechov.
In terms of salvation,
Ohľadne spasenia,
Bethel
Betel,
is baptism,
to je krst,
justification, converted.
ospravedlnenie, obrátenie.
You die to sin.
Zomierame hriechu
You live to
a
righteousness.
žijeme v spravodlivosti.
So at Bethel, there is no
V
sin.
Beteli niet hriechu.
It's about 20 years
To je
from Bethel to
od
Jabbok.
Betela k Jaboku je asi 20 rokov.
And now what's he
A
doing?
čo robí teraz? Vzdáva sa
Which
pestovaných hriechov. Ktorých?
Not specific what were they are, but
Ktoré
when
sú
were
tie
those sins being
hriechy?
committed?
Čo on spáchal? Aké hriechy?
These are the sins of Christianity that he's been doing.
To sú hriechy kresťanstva, ktoré on pácha.
And this is not just I overate or I shouted at my wife.
Toto není iba to, že predol som sa a kričal som na svoju
These are the
ženu.
sins of his life, his story.
Toto sú hriechy jeho životného príbehu. Celý jeho...
And what does he do to his father-in-law?
Čo spravil svojmu
That he said he would never do again.
svojmu svokrovi, čo povedal, že už to nikdy nespraví.
Tricked him.
On ho oklamal.
He supplanted him.
Ho podviedol.
He stole his brother's birthright.
Ukradol prvorodinné právo svojho
Remember
brata
that? And he stole his father's, all of his father's animals,
a
his wealth.
ukradol
He
všetky,
stole his brother's wealth. He stole his father-in-law's wealth.
aj svojho svokra, ukradol mu všetky tie zvieratá.
And his wife stole the idols.
A jeho žena ukradla tie modly.
He hasn't learnt much
Veľa sa nenaučil.
in all of his time as a Christian.
Za celý ten čas ako kresťan.
And now he sees his sin for what it really
A
was.
teraz vidí
Sin.
ten svoj hriech v tom svojom skutočnom
And he
svetle, v
thought,
tom jeho
he
skutočnom
thought he was
svetle.
good.
On si myslel, že bol dobrý.
And that's the experience that we're going through now.
To je skúsenosť, cez ktorú my prechádzame teraz.
We had cherished
My
sins.
sme mali dlho pestované hriechy,
Conservative Christianity, conservative Christianity, conservative Christianity.
konzervatívne kresťanstvo, konzervatívne kresťanstvo, konzervatívne
And
kresťanstvo.
all that needs to be renounced.
Z tohoto všetkého sa musíme vzdať.
And it gets renounced when someone who came to help you is actually appears to be attacking you.
A vzdáte sa toho vtedy, keď niekto, kto vám prichádza na pomoc, to vyzerá, ako keby na vás útočil.
So when you stop
Keď
fighting,
prestanete bojovať,
the angel that God has sent to help you,
ten anjel, ktorého vám Boh poslal, aby vám pomohol,
then you'll relinquish your cherished
keď
sin,
prestanete
you'll renounce
bojovať s
it,
tým anjelom a vzdáte sa tých svojich hriechov,
you'll stand as a conqueror,
buď povstanete ako víťazi
and you won't be a priest anymore, you'll be
a
what?
už nebudete kňazom, budete čím?
You'll be a prince
Budete princom
with a crown.
s korunou.
And when you're a prince or the crown prince,
Tento princ s korunou,
that's the second advent.
to
You
je
take off
druhý
what
príchod.
garments
Vezmete na seba biele rucho
and put on,
a dáte si,
we'll call it the kingly garments.
vzdáte sa kňažského rucha a dáte si kráľovské
Because
rucho.
you quote from Spirit of Prophecy when you say that. She was quoting from Spirit of Prophecy when she says,
Tam mi nás citovala ducha prorockého.
you take your priestly garments off and you put your kingly garments on.
Vyzlečiete si kňažské rucho a oblečiete si
new
kráľovské
title.
a dostanete nové meno.
After you conquer,
Potom ako zvíťazíte.
which happens after you stop fighting the
A
angel.
to sa stane až potom, keď prestanete zápasiť s tým anielom.
And you have to go back into this history and renounce everything that you were doing.
Musíte sa vrátiť späť do dejín a vzdať sa, zrieť sa všetkého, čo ste robili.
Let's pray.
Poďme sa pomodliť.
Our Heavenly Father,
Drahý nebeský Oče,
we want to kneel before you
chceme sa pred Tebou skloniť
and we want to confess
a vyznať,
that we have rejected the past,
že my sme odmietli minulosť.
that we have cherished sins,
Že máme hriechy, ktoré sme si pestovali,
sins that we now can clearly see.
ktoré môžeme teraz jasne vidieť.
Help us not to fight against the angel.
Pomôž, aby sme nebojovali s tým anielom,
May we conquer.
aby sme zvíťazili.
And you
Ty
promise
si zasľúbil,
to make us more than overcomers.
že spravíš z nás viac ako len víťazov.
But you'll give us a title
Že nám dáš titul, názov, meno
kings and queens.
kráľov a kráľovien.
We hold out this hope
My sa držíme tejto nádeje
and we want to cherish it.
a to si chceme pestovať
In Jesus'
v mene Ježiša.
Amen.
Amen.